Hello, all you ghouls and goblins of the world, and welcome back to another chapter here of Killer Cuts. And it has been far too long since we told a chapter of this wonderful horror review show that we've got here. Last time out, we had a special guest, Mitch Clark, talking about his independent movie, The Druid's Hand. But we have been wanting to do this one for quite a while, talking about Wes Craven's Red Eye. We'll get to that in a moment. I am Bobby Munson, and beside me, the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how are you doing?
After a long day, it's just nice to talk about something that I enjoy. Horror movies. Why not? How are you?
Why not? I'm doing wonderful, of course. I've been having a nice little siesta at the moment there as I prepare to launch into a new wake of life as my new job starts next week. So I was glad that we were able to connect and do this particular one. I know we talked about it for a while. This was based on your recommendation, but a movie I do very much enjoy because I am a big fan of Wes Craven. And I remember when this kind of released and launched, and this was kind of hot off of his, his rise to, I wouldn't say fame, but more modernly, the Scream franchise that really kind of launched him into the, the pop culture stratosphere all of a sudden. Wes Craven comes out with this one, a thriller, but not in the same vein as like a Scream or some of the other ones that he is known for in the thriller stuff. So this one starring Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams. And there's two of the reasons, outside of Wes's direction, two of the reasons why you should pay attention to Red Eye is these two in the lead roles acting. Why don't you take us into this one, Astrid? Let us know a little bit more about the film itself.
I think that the thing that I found out about this one is just, first, when I watched this movie at the time, I didn't know Wes Craven was involved in it in any way, shape, or form. I learned that a little bit later. But then not only adding that layer for me, and then the layer of, I'm used to seeing Rachel McAdams as Regina George in Mean Girls. So it's like, you see people like a certain light, so you can only see them like that. So seeing her here, I was really impressed with the way she handled in every single part of this, every single scene of this movie. And Cillian, I just like, I feel like even though it's one against the other one, they had such a great chemistry. And I was like, I wish it wouldn't happen that he was like the bad guy in the movie, because I enjoy them, both of them together. And this is one of those movies that I like. And another thing that I like about it too is that most of the movie isn't one place. It's like it barely changes locations though. And to see that, like, this enclosed location, they're next to each other. You can only do so much in the little space that you got there. So I can imagine how different it is, having a movie like this for both of them. And I enjoy the performances. I feel like they really like helped each other in that sort of way. But I had them, like, I saw them in a certain light, and then seeing them in this movie, I was like, I love this so much. And I ended up like watching it so many times. And even then, as I was making the notes for this one, I was like, when I kept thinking, I feel like sometimes I forget details about it. And then I started watching it again. I was like, shoot, that was genius. Wes Craven, like chef's kiss.
Yeah, it is absolutely phenomenal. Again, this was based on a story written by Carl Ellsworth and Dan Foose, I believe it's the pronunciation. Wes Craven directed, as we mentioned, Rachel McAdams, Cillian Murphy in the star lead roles. And like you said, his charm comes across quite well in the opening there on the plane, as you kind of get in the feeling of almost like this rom-com, or at least a romantic drama that's kind of taking place here. That connection that the two of them have is phenomenal. But when he flips the switch and all of a sudden turns to his kind of more sinister self, it is quite the turn and very well done in this aspect. So to get into the movie a little bit here, I believe she is going to visit her, or she's going to her grandmother's funeral. And as she is going on the plane back to Miami, Florida, that's when she meets Jackson Ripner. That connection starts to happen before he ends up telling her that there is an assassination plot that he is part of. He is part of this terrorist organization. There's a plot to assassinate this certain politician. She is a hotel manager, which has the rights to be able to move them to a different room in the hotel that they're staying at. He wants them to move her, or he wants her to move them there. So, and then once the assassination is confirmed, he'll call off the hit that he's got on her father, adding an extra layer of creepiness to this. And then, of course, she tries everything she can to try to not go that direction, try to do all the things possible, like writing that tiny little, help me note that she leaves. What he catches it, he knocks her out for it, and again proceeds to do it. She fakes being on the phone, trying to move them and everything, but ultimately she does manage to save the day. But the pacing of this film is so beautifully done. How Wes has it, like you said, it's so tight knit, so very few on the cast, and it kind of flows from one thing to another. Never a dull moment within Red Eye, I found.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same too. I feel like it just has a great flow to the story and a great pace to it. And it's one of those things like you're thinking at first, oh, she's just making the line to go, to go back home as she's, waiting to give out her bags. And then, she sees them at the line. She sees them at, at the bar beforehand, and then going to like exactly being sitting next to him, to all these parts. And one thing I like about her character though is that she never gives up. She knows that, for her, the politician has always been a great person. And obviously, not only is it his life on the line, but his family as well, because they're all together in the same room. And she's thinking about their family. So she's being really creative with her ways of helping them out and delaying it as much as possible, even when though she has her father, on the line as well, if you think about it. So I think about it myself from my point of view, and like if I was in a stressful situation like that, I would not be able to function the way she did, or get like find so many creative ways. Because like you say, she puts a soap in the bathroom that says "help me." She pretends to be like knocked out for quite a bit, and even using the pencil the way she did it for his throat, which is when I automatically saw the pen was missing, I said, "Oh, I cannot imagine where this is going," and seeing her stab him in the throat the way she did, I was like, holy crap, she does not give up. Having her in heels running around the airport. I cannot imagine running around the airport with so many people on the way, and then having to do it in heels, and like thinking of like taking off layers and just changing clothing and moving places here and there, calling her coworkers, so many things that she had to do. And I just kept thinking, what is gonna happen next in this movie? Because she did so much to like try to help them out and protect them, and she succeeded in the end anyway. And it's just incredible to see like that she actually got like she was able to help them out.
Yeah, and succeeds in a very successful way, not only managing to save the people in the hotel, but also coming to the aid of her father and actually running into the assassin head on with the vehicle, crushing him. So allowing that succession to happen. But then near the end, there is a little bit of trouble as, of course, the lead character manages to find his way back to the home there, has her father knocked out, and is going out after her. A struggle ensues, and eventually the father does manage to wake back up just in time to save his daughter from an uncertain fate that she was about to find herself in. This is so beautifully crafted, so beautifully crafted in every way, shape, or form. It doesn't come across as silly. This is the kind of thriller that I can go back to and enjoy, that I hope a lot of people will go back to and take a look at if they skipped on it the first time around. Red Eye should be witnessed and should be appreciated in the catalog of the films that Wes Craven left us here in this world. I gotta say major praise for Rachel McAdams as well too. I know you said about seeing her in Mean Girls. Also very notable. The Notebook was another one that I was familiar with prior to seeing Red Eye. I can't quite remember. They'd be close in proximity anyway. But of course she had certain types of roles that we knew her for already. We didn't know she could be this kind of a badass, this fighting from underneath heroine in the lead of a movie like this. And when she did it so perfectly. And it's just one of the many things that Rachel McAdams would go on to do in her wonderful story career as well too. I think this is a phenomenal film, an A+ in my book, and I think that many people should take this one back up. I don't have a lot more to add to it. Anything else that you would like to add to this one? Your thoughts on Red Eye?
Yeah, you made me think about that sequence towards the end of like when she's hiding from him and within the house. And it just reminded me so much of Scream, especially when you think about like Scream 2 and that sequence that Gail had in the little studio in the college trying to get away from Ghostface. It reminded me of that a lot. And I kept thinking of like that sequence of like, she's in her room, she knows the layers of the house, she knows the ins and outs of it. But even with that, I feel like he still has an advantage over her, which is something that is just incredible to think about in that aspect. And having her go back is like trying to call somebody, trying to keep her voice down low, making sure she gets a weapon, and the phone ringing, plus the fact that she has to balance it like watching out for her father as well. And that whole sequence of her running away from him and going from room to room trying to cover herself, that's it kept me at the edge of my seat every single time it happens. And I really love that about this movie, that no matter how many times I've seen it, and even though I know what's coming, I still get kind of like that jump scare even with that, because the music does help a lot in this too. It adds another layer to this, because I keep thinking, holy crap, is it now? Is it now? And I can't pinpoint the exact moment when he's jumping at her. And I love having also like her father is the one that helps her out in the end too. So they end up teaming each other in that sort of way. But what I like about this too is like it's such a like simple setting, because most of it happens in the airplane itself or at the airport. And I keep thinking of me, like, because I used to work at the airport in Orlando too. So I just keep thinking of like, there's so many people and everything. So I can just imagine how that would be if that were a set, for example, or having to run away, like with so many people on the way. And the setting in itself, I can never imagine kind of like a thriller or horror movie happening at an airport. I feel like I barely see movies that have that kind of setting there. So I thought it was an interesting point from that part of it too, and like you said, her performance was incredible, and it just makes me think back of like all her roles that she's done and how they're all so different. How do you go from The Notebook, is such a cute movie, to being Regina George and then doing this, and just it just makes you think she does incredible wherever she gets an opportunity. And I really like that about her, Rachel McAdams. I'm a big fan of her, but yeah, these two, I know they killed it, and I like how the first time that I watched it, I just couldn't think of him being like the bad guy, because I was like, when you look at them, they have such a good chemistry, and they have like a good back and forth like conversation, from like the barn all the way to like when they're sitting next to each other, and even she tells him, she's like kind of like, oh, I can't believe it, like you're the one next to me of all people, but it's one of those movies that I really enjoy it so much. And I like how even now, like I said, it just watching it now, just it feels like I haven't seen it before, and I'm just watching it for the first time. And I really like that about this movie too, because I don't get movies like that very often, that I feel like I'm watching it all over again. I can find something else that I hadn't noticed before. But overall, I just love it from beginning to end.
Me as well too, and this has been a great recommendation. It might not be the typical horror movie that most people think of when it comes to the horror movie season, especially with October right around the corner, but it definitely is a good, strong thriller movie that you should check out. And it might be just the right movie to kind of spice things up in September rolling into the October season. And we've got some cool movies coming out in October, a lot of great stuff that we're going to be able to dig deep into, including new Saw movies coming out here soon, Astrid. I'm pretty sure that we might have to do some Saw coverage here on Killer
Yeah.
Cuts coming up. It's around the corner. I know that much anyway. I can't wait. October season's going to be fantastic. It's going to be 1 year since we started our local establishment, and of course, all things horror movies. So we're going to be able to maybe drop a few extra episodes possibly that month. Fingers crossed anyway. But in the meantime and in between time, Astrid, I'm going to get your ticker up here below so you can let people know what you got going on and what kind of things we can expect coming up from you here at our local establishment and outside of our local establishment as well too.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky as Astrid Pizarro. My Instagram and Threads is Astrid Pizarro 20. When I'm not here, you can usually find my stuff on my YouTube channel, or anything that's my written pieces are in Women's Wrestling Talk and in Body Slam as well. For now, that's pretty much it. But one thing that I have constantly is every Tuesday with Ed, you can see me taking over as we review NXT following the show. And sometimes every other Friday, you'll see me doing Ladies Wrestling Showcase, my good friend Mel. And I like to discuss women's wrestling in any way, shape, or form that we can. So if you haven't yet and you're happen to pass by now, you can definitely go to my YouTube channel and go and see our past episodes there as well.
Go and do that right now. Check it all out. There's where you can find me at the ticker down below. I am also on the Threads. I know it's not on there, but Threads is the same thing as Instagram there. That's where you'll find me. Find me on my personal Twitch doing gaming stuff. And, of course, all over the place here at our local establishment, from the Bravado, Ring Respect Radio, and Busting Out, and other various shows that I pop up on. You know where to find me. You can also check out our sponsors. That's rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPODS. That'll get you 10% off your order. And if you want to reach out to any of the contributors here at our local establishment, or you want to check us out on any of the social media, that's where you can do so right down below. That is the ticker that is going to get you there. In the meantime, we've had a lot of fun bringing this review to you. And we just want to say we encourage comments in the comment section. We know this is pre-recorded, but let us know what you thought of Red Eye or what you would like to see us review on an upcoming chapter of Killer Cuts. Thank you for joining